There is something deeply revealing, almost disturbing, about the global reaction to the fall of Nicolás Maduro. People who actually lived under his boot, who endured hunger, repression, exile, fear, and the theft of their democratic vote, are openly celebrating his capture. They are relieved. They feel seen, perhaps for the first time in years. Yet many who were never subjected to that suffering, who never queued for food, never fled their homeland, never watched their vote rendered meaningless, are more outraged by how Maduro was removed than by what he did to an entire nation. That inversion of priorities should trouble us. We are told that we must pause, reflect, and consider the quote-unquote larger concerns. We are warned about precedent, about international norms, about who gets to decide which leaders are bad enough to remove. These are presented as enlightened, sophisticated arguments. But I ask a very simple question. Who decides what these larger concerns are, and why are they always elevated above human suffering? History teaches us something uncomfortable. If the world waited for the perfect moral consensus before acting, slavery would still exist, apartheid would still rule South Africa, and countless genocides would have continued uninterrupted. Progress rarely comes from endless debates. It comes when people decide that injustice has crossed the line and must be confronted. This obsession with procedure over people is precisely why evil so often lingers longer than necessary. So while we debate hypotheticals, lives are lost. While we polish moral arguments, tyrants entrench themselves. While we fear what might happen, real harm continues to happen. Power, like law, is not an ornament. It exists for use, especially in defense of justice. When power refuses to act in the face of clear wrongdoing, it ceases to be moral restraint and becomes moral cowardice. So let us be clear about Nicolás Maduro. He is not a misunderstood leader. He is not a controversial reformer. He is not a democratically contested head of state. He is a criminal who rejected the clearly expressed will of his people in an election and chose force over legitimacy. At that moment, he forfeited any moral claim to the protections normally afforded to democratic leaders. Sovereignty is not a shield for criminality. It was never meant to be. The same international system, now wringing its hands over precedent, has repeatedly intervened when it suited geopolitical interests. The outrage, therefore, is selective. It is not rooted in principle. It is rooted in politics, and selective morality is not morality at all. Those who argue that action sets a dangerous precedent must also confront the precedent of inaction. What message does it send when dictators learn that if they simply cling to power long enough, the world will eventually normalize their crimes in the name of stability? What lesson is taught when elections are stolen and the response is a strongly worded statement? The Venezuelan people were not asking the world for philosophical seminars. They were asking for relief. They were asking for dignity. They were asking for their voices to matter. And now, for the first time in a long while, a man who believed himself untouchable stands before the law. And that matters. Compassion that never leads to action is not virtue, it is performance. Moral concern that stops short of justice is little comfort to the oppressed. And political analysis that forgets the human cost becomes indistinguishable from indifference. This moment is not about celebrating force for its own sake. It is about recognizing that there are times when decisive action is the only language tyrants understand. The tragedy is not that power was used. The tragedy is how long it took. Maduro now has his day in court. The Venezuelan people finally have a measure of accountability. That should be the focus, not abstract anxieties raised only after justice begins to move. Because when history judges us, it will not ask how carefully we debated. It will ask whether we acted when it mattered. Thank you for listening. May God bless you, and may He bless the people of Venezuela.